for this week's Team Icer, or should this have been trending now? Because, wow, the big news drops. And on the panel to discuss all the big news with the Flyers are Adam Kimelman. He's the deputy managing editor at NHL.com, covers the Flyers. He has written 3 books. Adam, is there already a book in mind in terms of what is going on with the Flyers right now?
No, I think there's enough drama to keep people busy and to make a nice story out of it. But I don't think we've gotten to book-worthy level yet. But let's see what happens after today. Let's see what happens with the new coach. Let's see where they go with the remainder of this season.
And you can find him on Twitter at NHL Adam K. And back on the show, Jason Myrtetus. He's the host for the Flyers, and he has the daily podcast. You can get him on Twitter at Jason MYRT. Welcome back, Jason.
What's going on?
Nothing
going on. Nothing to see here.
So let me do the details. The Flyers obviously announced the Philadelphia Flyers have relieved head coach Alain Vigneault and assistant coach Michel Therrien. Is there a team right now that is looking for French-speaking coaches and maybe an assistant coach? I don't know. But they bring in as interim head coach Mike Yeo. Woo! All right. So where are we now? How was the press conference, Jason?
Well, where we are right now is that Mike Yeo is the interim coach, and we'll see how long he is the interim coach for. They're in the midst of 5 games in 7 days, so obviously it's a tough period for anybody to take over and make any kind of significant changes to what they do or what they are right now. But we'll see where this goes, because I think that's the fascinating part is, does Mike Yeo get the remainder of the season? Does Mike Yeo get the remainder of this 5 games in 7 days? Does he get till Christmas? Is it all based on what they see, or is the next head coach a person to be named later? Whether that's Tortorella, Montgomery, whoever that might be, Rick Tocchet, I don't know. But one thing's for sure: the narrative of lather, rinse, repeat of what this season has been. This team can't score more than 2 or 3 goals a game. Has certainly changed, at least in the short term, to what's going to be the next progression of this season for the team with 3/4 of a season to go.
I'll throw this at you, Adam, right now. Who do you think are possible front runners for this coaching position?
I think this could be, I can envision this being a 60-game job interview for Mike Yeo. I think the fair thing, if we're looking that way, could be to allow him to have the season, to see what he's capable of doing. This is a guy with a resume in the NHL. This isn't someone, who has no familiarity with coaching in the NHL. He's been a successful coach. He has a Stanley Cup on his resume from his time as an assistant with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been to the playoffs. So this isn't an inexperienced or an out of left field move. I think it's a good hire, but we'll know for sure if it's a good hire if we're talking playoff hockey for the Flyers or not. So it could be a situation where he gets the remainder of the season to show what he can do, to show what he's capable of. And look, it's whoever the coach is, Mike Yeo or anyone else, it's now incumbent upon the players to show that they're worthy of, that they're able to pull out of this tailspin, to dig out of this hole they've put themselves in, because you're not changing coaches again. Now it's incumbent upon the players, because the next change is going to be from what we've all been told is a very tight locker room. The next phase is, do you start subtracting from the roster? So if you don't want to see your friends leave, if you don't want to see your teammates go, the players have to tighten up their skates, pull up their socks, and start figuring out a way to play winning, successful hockey. And it starts for them on the offensive end.
On the offensive end, they need more scoring. Jason, where are they going to be able to find the scoring? And if they can find it, who could possibly get moved?
Well, I don't know if we're ready to talk about moves yet, because I just don't see that the moves are prevalent in the NHL at this time this early. So you got to look from what's existing. They got to get more scoring from Travis Konechny more consistently. They got to get more scoring from Sean Couturier again. I think he's got 1 goal in his last 15 games. They got to get scoring from James Van Riemsdyk. I think he's got 2 shots in his last 6 games. He's got to be a guy that scores for you. They got to get scoring, when Joel Farabee does come back. We don't know when that's going to be. Is it going to be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks? We don't know. But that part is what it is. But, Claude Giroux's got to give him scoring. Cam Atkinson was brought in to score, has done so, but has been streaky. A lot of goal scorers are, but he's got to be less streaky. So, look, they're a team, if they're going to have any success, it has to be the collective. It can't be one guy that does the bulk of your scoring. If they're going to have success, they got to get it from their blue line, frankly, as well. Guys like Provorov and Sanheim. Sanheim does not have a goal on the year. He's got a guy he's got some offensive to his, elements to his game. He's got to be able to score. So it's got to be collective. If they're going to start being a team that can score over 3 goals a game, then it's going to have to come from multiple different places. Scott Lawton's got to chip in. He's not going to be a guy that's going to, pot you 30, but he's got to be a guy that can pot you 18. So it's going to have to be the collective group that leads him out of it.
Well, they do. They have the talent to do that. You look at Travis Konecny's a 25-goal scorer. James Van Riemsdyk scored 30 in the NHL in the past. Joel Farabee eventually is going to come back. He looks like a 20 to 25-goal scorer. Oscar Lindblom is a guy that should be able to chip in some offense right now. And, putting him on the 4th line, I don't think is going to get that offense out of him, but he's a guy that's capable of chipping in. And Cam Atkinson is a guy who scored in the league before. Couturier, Kevin Hayes, all those guys have produced, and they're not producing now. So it's, as I said before, it's incumbent on Mike Yeo to get those guys untracked offensively, because you're not going to win if you're averaging a goal and a half, 2 goals a game with a power play that's around 9%. So something needs to click, something needs to change in a big way offensively for them if they wanted to begin to dig out of the hole they're in.
Has Chuck Fletcher given these coaches, at least the previous coach and now Mike Yeo, the tools to succeed here? What do you think, Jason?
Well, I mean, that's hard to say because you're missing Ryan Ellis, who was such an important piece, an important cog for that top pairing to be your right side, right shot defenseman. And so much of what they wanted to do with the previous staff with Alain Vigneault was be able to exit the zone as a 5-man unit. And that's one of the things that Ryan Ellis is great at, that first pass out of the zone. In the beginning of the year, I remember getting, text messages and DMs from people saying, hey, did James Van Riemsdyk get faster? And my response was, I can assure you, he did not get faster. But he looked faster. A lot of guys did. Why? Because they were playing faster. The puck was moving up the ice way faster. They were attacking through the neutral zone with speed and as a 5-man unit. And that's what they're going to have to do. But you're missing, like Adam just said, you're missing Joel Farabee. He was the only guy scoring for you of late. He scored goals in 3 straight games before he lost an edge and got hurt in New York and has the shoulder injury. But there are guys on this team that can score. I think this roster, as constructed or reconstructed in the offseason by Chuck Fletcher, on paper was a better roster than the one they had last year. I stand by that. Yeah. But we haven't seen it. Kevin Hayes is now 2 core surgeries. And, at times, like he went for a loose puck and could have been an odd man break in the game against Tampa, and he looked like a beer leaguer. He's coming off 2 core surgeries. He's not going to look right all year. And he's not the most fleet-of-foot skater to begin with, but that's not his game. But there's guys that just have to be more consistent, like Konecny, and other guys in Atkinson and JVR. JVR went 6 years and he averaged over 30 goals a year in Toronto. Like he knows how to score, but is he going to the right places to score right now? Those are the questions you got to ask. And a new coaching staff, a new message. You hope that leads the guy to do the right things on the ice, the details of their game, and it's got to change or the result's not going to change. You can't score 1.67 goals a game in the NHL and expect to win.
A tidbit for JVR. In Toronto, he did have this little kid named Mitch Marner helping him get the
Not in the beginning, he didn't.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He ate on the power play.
Exactly.
He played 14 minutes a night and fed on the power play.
Yeah.
So he's got to be on your top power play unit too, right, Adam?
Absolutely.
And he's got to be net front.
Well, yeah, and you watch the way they've structured the power play, and that's a big reason why Michel Therrien is unemployed right now. Is the power play was not good, and it was so bad that it was taking momentum and it was affecting other areas of their game, and that's where the struggles on the power play bled into their 5-on-5 play. And just watch the way they struggled to get the puck in the zone, struggled to hold the puck in the zone, struggled to get pucks on net, struggled to get bodies to the net. And James Van Riemsdyk, is a guy who made his living standing in front of the net. And look, we've watched him in practice, tap shots on him, and he made it look effortless. And we just haven't seen that. We haven't seen it, this season, certainly not to any great consistency on the power play. He's a guy who needs to be at the front of the net, and they need to get pucks there. And Claude Giroux alluded to it a little bit last night, that they need to get more bodies to net, need to get more pucks to the net, need to be more simple. And look at the goal that they did score last night. Cam Atkinson went to the front of the net, tipped the shot by Claude Giroux, and they have a power play goal. So they need more dirty, greasy goals, however you want to classify them. They look like too much of trying to pass the puck into the net, and that never works. You went out and you got Cam Atkinson because you need him to shoot the puck. They need him to do more of that. Travis Konecny is a guy who needs to be a gunner from the flanks and shoot the puck on net. James Van Riemsdyk is a guy who needs to go to the net, stay there, and tip pucks and cause chaos in front of the net, 5-on-5 and on the power play. They're all capable of doing those things. They've gotten away from it, and they need to kind of get back to it. And they need to get back to it in a hurry if they want to have any hope of digging out of this hole and still harboring any thoughts of making a run for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I even noticed in the playoffs, I was like, why isn't JVR on the power play? And then once they put him on there, the power play got a little bit better. That's where he's good. That's where he's good in front of that. Let me tell you guys this. I'm looking at the team and I'm like okay, Ryan Ellis got injured. Now they're on this losing streak. Does it seem like this team fits better with a lot of the new pieces with Ellis and then Farabee and even Cam Atkinson? And maybe does Chuck need to move off or away from some of the old core guys because they're just used to losing, and the new guys are bringing in fresh blood and bringing in a better game?
Well, I think it's easy from a fan standpoint to sit and say, fire this guy, trade these guys, get rid of everybody when the team's playing the way it's playing. But it's not so simple as waving a magic wand and making guys disappear.
Yeah.
The Flyers are in a situation with their salary cap where any sort of significant trade would have to be dollar in for dollar out. So, and other teams, there's a lot of other teams are in the same boat because the good teams are right up against the salary cap. So this is a team that is built to win now. So I don't really see them at this point just dismantling the roster and trading everybody, that they can. Claude Giroux has a full no movement clause in his contract. If he doesn't want to leave, he's not going anywhere. You just signed Sean Couturier to an 8-year contract that starts next season. You did that because you envision him being a foundational element. So can they work around the edges? Can they move guys here or there? Potentially. But it's really difficult to do that. It's really difficult to do that at this time of the year because teams are still trying to figure out exactly who they are, and nobody wants to give up on a season too early because everybody saw just go back a couple of years and look what the St. Louis Blues did. They were last in the league when they came to Philadelphia in early January, and 5 months later they're holding the Stanley Cup. So you're never out of it until you get that little asterisk next to your name that says you're eliminated. So there's always going to be a chance. So, you can say move on from this guy or trade that guy or start making all these changes, but it's really difficult to do. And you really have to make sure the moves you make aren't just dumping guys for the sake of dumping guys. You're going to make a move. And I'm pretty sure this is Chuck Fletcher's mindset. You want to make moves. It's got to be to make the organization better today and better moving forward.
Better today, 3 years from now, and 5 years from now, right?
Right.
That's the way I look at it too. And like this notion of, just start sending guys out of here. Like that's, like Adam said, that's really easy to say. Like I just got a DM while we were recording this from a guy and said, Giroux's as good as gone. Trade him now and get something for him. He's going to sign in Toronto or Edmonton anyway. Well, first of all, I can't see him signing in Toronto or Edmonton because they've already allocated enough money to forwards. And you win in the NHL by having defense. That's number one. Number two, okay, he's got an $8.25 million cap hit. And like Adam said, the teams that are looking to win a Stanley Cup and want that one piece, they tend not to have $8.25 million in cap space. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what are they going to trade you, to dump the dollar for dollar amount? You're going to get a headache in return. So it's not just this easy notion of, well, shit, let's just get rid of everybody and suck for the rest of the year and look at the draft. It doesn't work like that. They're guaranteed contracts, and come the deadline, maybe you eat half of Giroux's money if you're totally out of it, and you trade him off and you get a first-round pick. But this notion that you're going to get a first-round pick and you're going to get Bo and Byram is like absurd to me. It's a rental. So I don't know how, again, you have to realize, too, there's another GM on the other end of the phone. You can't put out your trash at the curb and have them deliver you gold in the mail. It doesn't work like that. So just like Adam said, though, the GM has to be very methodical and do the right things for this team now, 3 and 5 years down the road. That's what has to happen. Can't just deliver, a body for the bloodthirst of the fan base. You got to do things properly, and you don't do them emotionally. You don't do them when you're reacting on emotion.
Right, and that's why I think if you see any changes in the short term, it's going to be working on the fringes. It's going to be moving out a guy that, you think could bring you a low-round draft pick. But I don't think if you're looking for franchise-altering trades, those are few and far between, and you certainly don't see them. You very rarely do you see them the beginning of December,
or even in season at all.
Correct.
Yeah, those are at the draft or off-season franchise-altering moves. Mm-hmm. They don't happen right now. Nobody's got the time, the stomach, the ability to do that right now.
Or most importantly, it's a salary cap space. Yep. The better teams, as you said, they don't have $7, $8, $9 million in cap space that they can spend on bringing in player X from the outside. It has to be a dollar for dollar trade, or they're going to wait till the offseason or closer to the trade deadline if they can, wrangle more, if there's a possibility of creating more cap space.
All right, we could talk and discuss this all day. Flyers, it's
we have
crazy.
Been.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Again, Jason on Twitter at JasonMYRT, Adam at NHL Adam K. Woo! All right. Catch you guys later.